It's Monday. It's going to be dinner time very soon. Today we're having the tikka masala that we canned together. It was a last minute decision on my end. Given everything that I had going in my garden, I decided to give this recipe a try. I was hoping my mom would love it, and she does. She had it not too long ago. She gave me some feedback. I think she said she added a little bit more cumin, something else, I don't remember. But then just like how I'm going to make it, she added the coconut milk and garbanzo beans or chickpeas, however, whichever term you decide, you prefer. I'm making 2 pints. It's just my husband and me, but I know either him or I will enjoy some as leftover tomorrow. If not the both of us, we'll see how much we eat tonight. I do have a pot of rice going here on the stove. My mom's vegan, so she only added the chickpeas. We are going to also add some chicken. I roasted a whole chicken with dinner yesterday, for dinner I should say. And I will add some chicken to our meal, and then I'm also going to take some of the chicken off of here for my nephew's dinner, who is having chicken bacon ranch hot pocket stromboli, whatever you want to call it. And I'm using some pizza dough that I made up not long ago and just froze, so I'll be using some of it anyhow today. I'll have to find something to do with the other half. I'm sure it'll make a good lunch for somebody somewhere out throughout this week. And then I've got mozzarella shredded up, which was used for pizzas Saturday night. Oh, this is actually cheddar, not mozzarella, but it'll taste just fine either way. And then I like to use the bacon crumbles that I get from Sam's Club for stuff like this. We go through our bacon that we get from our pig, plenty enough just to eat as whole pieces of bacon, that I don't worry about cooking and crumbling it and preserving it, because we eat through it in many other ways. So I do like having a couple packages of these on hand. Okay, so I have the rice going. I'm going to now, I think, roll out the pizza dough and get that going and into the oven, because it can take 25 to 35 minutes. And all I have to do is really heat everything through for mine and my husband's dinner tonight. It's what I loved about my home canned pantry, is it just assembles very quickly, everything's cooked, you just have to heat it through. So I'm excited to try it though. I am like super excited. Oh, and my husband specifically requested green beans, so I'm going to take some of my blanched green beans that we froze. But I also have a ton of patty pan squash. This lost its seal. I think we went over that when we did the clean out video. I got all of those tomatoes out because I'm getting my hogs probably, if I don't get the call sometime this week, it's definitely next week. I already talked to the butcher, gave him my cut instructions, so we'll be receiving the hogs here anytime now. And I said I was going to go through and re-vacuum seal the ones that lost their seals. Well, I moved everything into a new freezer. I have these ones that need to be resealed on top, and I decided just to go ahead and use one today. I'm going to saute these because they do tend to hold a lot of water. So I'm going to saute them so that they can release that water, and then we'll add them into the tikka masala, which is not, I'm sure, typical by any means, but I have it. It's a vegetable. I like to load up on all of the veggies that I've grown myself in any dish possible, and I know we'll enjoy it that way, so why not? Assembling the chicken bacon ranch stromboli was really simple. I rolled out my pizza dough into as much of a flat rectangle as possible. I added the ranch dressing,
My nephew's review of this was that it was incredibly delicious. He really, really loved it. He did request more ranch dressing on the inside next time. I wasn't sure how much to use because I'd never made it before. I was worried about maybe some of that ranch dressing leaking out, but it didn't. So I will add a little bit more next time. He just put a little bit on his plate and dipped it, so it was not that big of a deal. And then I added the cheese, the bacon, and the chicken. I did put a little bit of salt and pepper in there, rolled it up, tucked the sides of the dough in so nothing would leak out, pinched your dough together at the seams, and put it on a baking sheet to stick into the oven. I did decide to make 2 of them, and I'm glad I did because my nephew did eat probably 1.5. My husband had a couple slices. He couldn't help himself. And I think there were 2 slices left over the next day my nephew had as an after-school snack. So he pretty much demolished 1.5 of these. And I know they're not the healthiest, but my nephew also just does not want to eat fruits and vegetables, at least not very many. So every now and again, this is what a dinner looks like for him. But, you know, it's really not as unhealthy as some other options we could have done, right? So we're just going to do what we can in the moment that we're in. And this is what he did for dinner, and he absolutely enjoyed it. I did make some seams. You want to make sure that that steam can release and it doesn't crack and bust open. And then I just did some egg wash on the outside to help that crust cook up nice and golden brown. Getting started on the tikka masala dinner my husband and I will have, like I said, I wanted to get that patty pan squashed sauteed. It does hold a lot of moisture, so whenever I use it, I always saute it for quite a while to reduce the water content out of there. The blanched green beans have been in the freezer and they are also holding water, so I'm going to let those saute with the squash. Getting the tikka masala into the saucepan, I'm going to empty those contents in there. I'm going to strain and rinse the chickpeas and get that into the pot, as well as the chicken that I pulled off of the bone from the dinner we had the night before. I'm going to use a can of coconut milk. I incorporated a little bit at a time because I just wasn't sure how much coconut milk we would want, but I did end up using the entire can.
All right, so the green beans and squash have pretty much cooked out all of the liquid. So I just seasoned them with some salt and pepper, and we'll just top them. We'll top our dish with the vegetables. Tikka masala is going to simmer on the stove until everything is done. Rice is done. So actually I'm just waiting on the stromboli at this point. Now I did not use my home canned chickpeas because the only kind I have on my pantry shelf right now are considered hummus ready chickpeas. They've been canned with some lemon juice and actual lemon slices. So then I just open that, add it with some tahini, some olive oil, just made some a couple days ago actually, and it is so delicious. Some garlic, it is really good. And I didn't think I would want that lemon flavor with this dish, so I did have some store-bought cans still on my shelf, so of course I used that. Didn't have as much chicken left as my husband would probably prefer, but that's okay. It'll be enough for tonight. The chicken carcass I stripped. This is mostly just skin and bones, and that's gonna go into my freezer, even though I literally just cleaned out all of my chicken carcasses. And I've got an entire stock pot full of chicken stock. The last 2 days I had simmering in my roaster pan over here chicken stock. So smells glorious. It looks beautiful. So I'll get that canned up tomorrow. It's gonna go in my fridge overnight so I can just take off any fat and not have to worry about that going into the jar. Okay, ready to serve up dinner. I am a little disappointed. I'm giving a review of the tikka masala. I don't know if you'll get this on camera or not. The color's beautiful, but it's very thin. Very thin. I am serving this over basmati rice. I have the additional vegetables to go over top of it, so you know that rice is gonna soak it up really well. I am really kicking myself though, because naan bread would have gone beautifully with tonight's dinner. I didn't even think about it. I could have very easily made that tonight, but I don't have it. It's okay. It is what it is. Even though it's thin, it's gonna go over rice, and that's okay. I just really prefer a really thick and creamy kind of consistency. I've not tasted it yet. I wanted to wait until I got the whole taste of the rice and everything. So it smells amazing. So maybe next time I could use heavy cream instead of coconut milk. Go half and half. I really expected the coconut milk to thicken it up. The other thing is I could start way ahead, let it simmer for a little bit longer to thicken up. I was trying to get this done in, you know, a short amount of time, so half an hour is, you know, when I started this is how long that took me. Got dinner together in about an hour between both, so that's not too bad. Also, I had made a comment about whether or not it'd be enough chicken. Remember, if you can your own chicken, I could easily have opened up some of my home canned chicken and added it here if I really thought my husband was gonna need a lot more chicken. But given the size of everything, the ratio is actually pretty good. Okay, let's get dinner plated.
These look amazing. I can't wait to try different flavor combinations. We make pizza all the time. I don't know why in my home I've never thought to make like a stromboli. So I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it was just, it was a lot of fun to make, and they turned out great. The tikka masala turned out wonderful. I'm happy to review that I do really, really love the flavor. My mom loves it as well. It is worth canning again. I am going to amp up the flavor, however. My mom and I discussed it, and I feel like there's something missing. We are comparing it to the store-bought, which sometimes I try not to do, because sometimes we are trying to not necessarily mimic store-bought foods. If anything, we want to make it better. But there is a particular flavor I feel like is sort of missing, and I think I wouldn't mind it a little bit more powerful within those flavors. So the next time I can this, next year, God willing, I grow everything that I can, you know, to do it, we will amp up that flavor just a little bit, which is why I love home canning, because I can play around with the flavors so that they are enjoyable for me and my family. When you're purchasing it from the store, you're purchasing somebody else's recipe, and it might be too heavy in one area or not enough in another. I get to play around with the recipe at least. And so it is worth canning again. I do highly recommend it. When I am making it the next time in the pot, I will adjust the seasonings. I'll add just a little bit more, which is no big deal. So it isn't, you know, that it's a big loss. It's just I'm going to add a little bit more seasonings next time. It turned out to be such a flavorful dish. We added in all of those extra vegetables, which of course you don't necessarily have to do. You can omit the chicken to make it vegetarian. I think I'm going to work on making the sauce a little bit more thicker and creamier, like I said before. Otherwise, this was definitely a hit. My husband really, really loved it. He can be hit or miss sometimes when it comes to this style cuisine of a dinner. So I was really pleased that he really enjoyed it as well. I thank you for coming along. I know everyone was curious on how this recipe would turn out, and so I am pleased with it. And I will see you again the next time I'm in my kitchen. I have a couple preservation projects still coming up, so I hope I'll see you there for those, and then I'll certainly see you back in this kitchen when I need to feed my family again. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you next time.